Welcome back to Talkin Shop with ShopSabre. In this podcast, we like to tackle the CNC industry specifically and really talk a little bit about business in general. Hopefully you'll find some entertainment throughout it and hopefully some education. But the next episode starts right now. Welcome to this week's episode of Talkin Shop. As you know, we try to keep things lighthearted, entertaining, and educational. I am your host, Brandon Bombardo, here with Nick Peters.
Feels like I haven't seen you since last year.
Happy New Year.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. It's a brand new year, a fresh slate, and a perfect time to evaluate where you stand, where you want to go here. And today we're going to talk about realigning your mindset, getting more aggressive with your goals. And if you've been playing it safe, sticking to what's comfortable or waiting for the right time, this episode is probably going to be for you because we're going to discuss realignment. We're going to talk about why it's crucial, how to shift your thought process to bigger, better results, and how to channel that energy into actionable, aggressive goals. I think it's time to make 2025 the year of no excuses and no limits. What do you think about, Nick?
Sounds like a heck of a plan to me.
I think that's what we're going to do. So we're going to try to do things a little bit differently this year as we go into the podcast, try to be more assertive with our thought process and obviously keep you guys entertained, but try to move through things. Episodes might be a little longer this year, might be a little shorter depending on the week. We're going to play it kind of by ear week to week when it comes to the topic, and we're not going to cut you off with good content. So our hope is to get through everything and just keep you guys entertained. That's the big goal here, is because we enjoy doing this, and hopefully you enjoy listening to us. So,
of course they do.
Well, of course.
How could they not?
They get to listen to you and I chat.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you, man. It's been a while since I've seen you. It's, I don't know.
Come out of your office once in a while.
I feel like I've lived in my office since the end of December. Long hours, early days, late nights. We didn't get any podcast episodes in at the end of the year.
Didn't we do one right after Christmas?
Yeah. And then we missed.
I suppose it's been a week and a half.
We missed the rest of the year. So
it's going to be 2026 before you know it.
Well,
Lord.
Might as well get started now, because the way I'm going, I'm not going to come out of my office till 2026. So
it's not always a bad thing for us.
Fair enough. Let's move on to something bigger and better. Current events. So, New Year's resolution, Nick. What'd you have?
I don't make them.
You don't?
No.
Nothing at all, huh?
No, because it seems like within the first week I've broken it. Along with 7 of the 10 commandments, so
fair enough.
What's the point?
Okay,
it's a terrible old joke.
Yeah, so now I got to figure out.
No, I just
things.
I don't know. You just kind of look back on things and
know
what you can do different, and just do your best to do it different. I don't think forcing yourself to stick to something is.
Yeah.
I don't know. Should I quit drinking Mountain Dew? Could that be one? I could start now. A week late.
Could start it.
No, because the headaches get terrible.
Yeah, I don't want to deal with you. When you get a headache, you become unbearable.
I just sit in my corner and be quiet and do my work.
You get crabby.
It depends on the day.
You get crabby.
Depends what Travis says to make me annoyed.
When you are on a sugar headache, you are not fun.
Oh, that's fair.
You are the reason why Snickers commercials exist.
That's the reason why I have a bag of them in my drawer over there.
That's the truth, though. No, I've always believed that, if you don't do something, you're not going to have a new year. You're going to have a same year, right? Just another year.
I suppose,
right?
But if you focus on things you didn't do well and just try to do your best to be better.
Yeah, but you have to do something new. Don't they always say if you do the same thing over and over expecting different results, you're just going to go crazy?
Probably. It's the definition of insanity, right?
Right? So, that's the thing, is if it's a new year, you got to do something new. And I know it's really, I don't know, cliche to say new year, new me, right? Because that was the thing for a long time.
Yep.
But it's the truth, though. You got to do something new if you're going to expect something to change.
Are you going to buy a new race car?
I did.
You did?
Oops.
Did you buy the kids one
Cat's
too?
out of the bag. Yeah, I bought my son a go-kart, so we're going go-kart racing next year.
Sick.
Yeah, he
Your
found
wife
out
must
about
be
it.
Pumped.
She's actually pretty excited about it.
So now you need to buy a motorhome for all your travels, right?
That's what I told her.
I mean, that seems like
she
a
does not
logical
agree.
thing. Cheaper in a hotel room every weekend.
I don't know if that's true.
Eventually, it'll pay for itself.
Eventually. You have to do a lot of racing to get to that point. And for the amount of racing I get to do, I don't think it pays for itself.
You could just go with that.
So you didn't make any New Year's resolution at all?
No.
That's good.
I didn't really.
I did. This year, I'm going to try to slow down and do more listening. That is my New Year's resolution to myself.
That's fair.
Take more time to listen and just kind of take in the moments. because I feel like sometimes you get so accelerated. That means in everything. I'm not just talking about business. I'm talking about personal life too. That like my kids' hockey, like it's always go, go, go. It's one game to the next, to the practice, to this, to that. And it's just like this year I'm going to slow down and just take it all in. Like I feel like before I know it, he's going to be 18 and I'm not cool anymore and he doesn't want to hang out with me. And he's still young enough where like he wants to be around me. So I'm trying to take that in.
For
like,
the
slow
record,
down.
For the record, that happens at about 12.
Yeah, it's what
at least with my daughter.
Yeah.
Drew still thinks I'm cool, but that's a good one. I like that one.
Yeah, so that's it. I'm just going to slow down and listen. I want to use I always say it, right? God gave me 2 ears and one mouth for a reason. Time to slow down and listen.
Fair enough.
So that's going to be my New Year's resolution. FiberSabre, that's another thing that's current event.
It's here.
It's here. It was launched obviously at the beginning of December, but official launch date was January 1st. That was the plan all along. And so it's come and gone, and FiberSabre is officially started. I mean, we've got parts that are showing up for it, and we've been starting production on it. We officially launched that in January, so we're excited. So if you got your order in on FiberSabre and you're listening to this, we're working on orders. So
and they are sweet.
They are
it's
sweet.
It's one of the coolest things.
Obviously, we said we're going to start delivering them in April. That's still the plan, is to start delivering machines starting around April. Obviously, if we can do it sooner, we will, but we're not going to make promises ahead of that. I mean, we're going to try to do this right, the best of our ability, but we are going to start rolling those out as soon as we can. So
it's exciting. It's fun to watch that stuff happen down there.
Yeah, it's a cool process to be a part of. And then, one thing that wasn't so cool to be a part of was the butt kicking the Vikings took this week.
I didn't think you were going to bring that up.
I had to. I'm sorry. I had to.
But at least they got out of the way now.
That's how I felt
right?
too.
I mean,
like you could tell who the Fairweather Vikings fans were because the internet was full of the internet is broken. Could be full of those
for sure.
Like they just ripped Darnold. Like if Sam Darnold. If he has one bad game, that's how you react.
It's stupid because if this was like the sixth time he's done it, fine. But
right.
Who thought they were going to be 15-3 or 14-3?
Well, even that. Who thought Sam Darnold would set the record for the most consecutive games with a passer rating over 100?
Yeah, nobody.
No, the dude has played out of his mind. So, yeah, he had a bad game.
Yep.
It happens. I don't know. Again, it goes back to Fairweather fans. I'm happy it happened when it did.
For sure.
Because it really, if nothing else, it reignites that, fire that, hey, we're better than people think we are. Which I hate when they get overconfident. Like when people start saying we're hyped up and we're the team, we always fail that.
Yeah.
So I like that they now are see, the Vikings are human.
They are who we thought they were. This is what they do. They're trash.
Which is cool. Let's set it up. Let's go into SoFi Stadium Monday night.
They're going to smoke the Rams.
Let's go beat the Rams. Then we're going to walk back into Detroit. I bet we don't go to Detroit, though. That's my bet.
You think they're going to lose?
Nope. I bet we win, but I bet the Packers win.
Oh, boy.
I bet the Packers beat the Eagles and have to go face the Lions.
Okay, that's fine. But
Packers beat Eagles. They go face the Lions. We win. We have to go face the Washington Commanders.
That's a way easier route to.
I'm betting you that's what it is. That's what I think it is.
I really hope so. As much as I don't want to cheer for Green Bay.
Yep.
Let's hope.
That's what I think it is. And in fact, I think if we do that, Washington Commanders have to come here and face us.
I think that's true.
I think we get a home game.
That'd be nice.
Calling it now.
What?
Write it down on your paper.
Got it right here. Mental note. What'd you do for New Year's? Anything?
Nothing.
Hang out?
No, I worked late as heck that
fair.
day, obviously. Fair, yeah. And then, we went to a friend's house and hung out, rung in the New Year. I went to bed and we had hockey.
That's cool.
Hockey on New Year's Day.
We went and watched a buddy's band play.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Good band. Called Blankets.
Blankets?
Yeah.
Shout out to Blankets if you're listening.
They're a cover band.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I hate it. I was really hoping it was going to end with the New Year. New Year's resolution was no more dad jokes.
Set that up.
You did set that up well, actually.
Knocked it down.
I even shouted out to him.
Yep, you did.
I'm really upset about this.
Good times.
Well, in other news, other current events is Nick no longer works at ShopSabre.
Well, it's been a fun ride while it lasted.
Oh, let's move on. Let's move on to our customer questions and comments. This week's question number 1 is, can you explain how to set up automatic torch eye control? And automatic torch eye control is an automatic feature in the controller. There's no setup really required for getting it going other than running the height settings, which are predefined by the controller using the hypertherm information. So we preload all the hypertherm standard book settings. And that said, obviously you need to consider your environment and the environmental changes that can cause manipulation to these requirements. Book settings aren't the Bible. I always tell people that. It's a great starting place, but it's definitely not set in stone. This is the way it is. So, it's a starting point that you're going to tune from. And so we suggest running a line test with the torch eye control off. And then this will help you determine what your arc voltage wants. And then you can tweak your height settings accordingly before you turn on the auto torch height control. And so that way you can have a better understanding of, how it is. You obviously contact our tech support team if you want to get into it further, and they'll help you out. But that's kind of how you set up your torch height control. It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy. So the other question we had was, how does the light switch turn on the vacuum pump? And they were talking about our vacuum hold-down video. And in the back of the room, we flip a switch to turn the pump on. It's not a light switch, although it looks like it. It's actually integrated switch into the motor starter. It is the motor starter is essentially designed to operate the power control for a vacuum pump. And the switch is an integrated part of that technology, and it's sized appropriately and designed for that motor starter. So although it looks like a light switch, it's certainly not a light switch. It's actually a motor starter on-off switch is what you saw in that video. And I don't recommend hooking up a light switch to your vacuum pump. So, and then final question that kicks it off for 2025 is, how does the Skew feature work on the controller? And how it works is it allows you to reference the front and side, and it skews the drawing to match the angle of the sheet. And so how that works is you select 2 reference points. So you drive the machine into position, set reference point 1, drive it to the second position, reference point 2, and then it utilizes those 2 points to determine where the edges of the sheet are and effectively skew your drawing to match that skew. It's very simple, very easy to use, and provides you with increased functionality. And so now for the people wondering, yes, you can add it to past controllers. It's an upgradable feature. You can contact our support team for help on that. And then we will also try to create a little bit of information on that for Sabre Nation. We realized this morning we had a Sabre Nation outage. That's sad. Sabre Nation University went down for a little bit this morning because of a new update done by the web development team. And unfortunately, the new bug in 2025 software caused it to happen, but we fixed it. So it should be back up and running now.
It is, because I was just on there a little while ago sending somebody some video numbers. So it's working.
That's good. I'm glad it's working again, because I got a lot of emails in a short amount of time about how Sabre Nation was down.
Not good.
So not ideal, but I'm glad we got it resolved quickly. So now I've answered your questions, and it's my turn to ask the questions. I only have one though. So to our audience, to our listeners, I'm hoping that you will take the time, email us, write a comment, provide us a little bit of feedback. But what in 2025 are you going to be focused on with your job or your business? So my question is here in 2025, what are you going to be focusing on for your job or for your business itself? I would love to hear. I mean, everybody listening to this, I shouldn't say that. Let me rephrase that. Most people listening to this have a job or a business or something. And so what is it you will be focusing on in that aspect of your world? I understand we're all focusing on personal matters and personal accomplishments and goals and things like that. But my question is related to your job or your business. Whether you're an employee or you are the owner, I want to know, where is your focus this year? So leave it in the comments. Want to hear about it. Nick, your job, what are you, or your business, obviously you got your side business. Where is your focus this year in 2025?
The first one that popped into my head was honestly for my job here at ShopSabre. I think in December we learned some things with how busy like the dock was and getting a lot of stuff out of here. And I think I learned that more communication, even though it's sometimes maybe you think it's being annoying or like bothering people with questions about certain things, it actually leads to a lot more success with getting things done and making it happen. So asking questions that might seem like, a little too much. I don't think there's such a thing, really. Like, asking questions is only trying to help, right? So, like, the old saying is no question is a dumb question, right? I think that really actually applies to a lot more things than people think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think communication is the thing that I hope a lot of people work on in 2025. Because I believe through communication, we can solve a lot of the perceived problems that exist, right? There's a lot of times in our heads we make things worse than they are, and just a little communication can solve it. And I think it goes from anything. I mean, when you're in the McDonald's line and the guy gets your order wrong, instead of going in and screaming at him, just go in and communicate with him. Like,
well,
hey.
And I think too, like, people need to understand to appreciate that kind of communication, right? And not be annoyed. Like, if you're on the other side of it and somebody's asking you lots of questions about things, like, understand why they're doing it and like appreciate why they're doing it instead of like being annoyed by it.
Agreed, 100%. Like, I think that in itself is a part of the communication process, because it goes back to when somebody's willing to communicate with you, understand why they're communicating with you, rather than taking it offensively.
Yep.
I think in this world we're too quick to be offended. Like I think everybody in the world, like in general, has become too quick to react. And sometimes you react quickly for good reason, and sometimes quickly for a bad reason. But even in either case, I think it needs to be like, calm down, take a deep breath.
Yep.
Again, going back to what my goal is, I want to listen more. I want to just take the time to digest what I'm hearing, take in what I'm experiencing, rather than just being quick to react to everything.
For sure. Yep.
I'm going to do it. I mean, obviously, I'm not perfect, but it's something that I know I can work on. So, again, for me, focusing on the job at hand, that is where my focus is in general. I'm just going to focus on trying to make everything we do a little bit better than what we did last year.
For sure.
I mean, we had a very good year last year here at ShopSabre, and I anticipate, our goal is going to be to continue down that path. But I think we can be better. I think last year we learned a lot. I think that we went through some difficult moments, and obviously we had some growing pains throughout it. But I think we learned a lot of great things, and I'm excited to be able to dive into some of the new and exciting things we have coming, like obviously with the FiberSabre now, and with the TC, and with the ISA, all of those machines now being online this year. I'm really excited about it. I think that's my focus this year, is like to really accelerate where we're going.
Yeah, and I think like we talked about before, like obviously when you have success, you can't just kind of get complacent with it and be happy with it. You know that there's more you can do to be even better in the year going forward. So focus on that. Yeah,
no, for sure. So with that, I think we're going to jump into our episode because I think it's a good segue. We're going to be talking about realigning your mindset and getting more aggressive with your goals, because, when you're thinking about a new year and, there's so many things happening, and a lot of times you're just trying to catch back up from the end of the last year, that you forget that you have a whole new runway in front of you. Yep. You've literally got a clean slate January 1st. And a lot of times people burn up the first month of the year trying to just take a deep collective breath, right? And I think that's where we go wrong. We have 12 months to accomplish great things, and we use 11 months of it.
Yep.
Right? And so we have to realign our thought process. And why that matters, I think, is it's overtime, right? Like, the reality is it's easy to drift away. It's, to me, over time, you fall off of your goals, right? You said it yourself. You don't make a resolution because by now you've already fallen off.
Yep.
And I think that is the mindset that we kind of have, is, you have to really think about, why did you start? What was the big dream that you had when you started whatever it is that you're started? Because everybody has it, right? And that's why you kick off something new, is that you got this, goal or this focus on something, but daily responsibilities, right? The setbacks, the customers, the employees, self-doubt pull you off course. And therefore, it's important to reflect on why you got started. And I think you can't realign if you don't know where you've even veered off track, right?
True. Yeah.
I mean, it's like being lost while you're driving somewhere and then not getting back on track ever. Like, you're not going to get to the end goal. The reality is, the likelihood of, and I shouldn't say that, the likelihood of you getting to that end goal is a lot harder when you veer off track and don't ever realign yourself. Like, once you type it in your GPS and you try to get somewhere, rarely do people veer off that course and then just find their way back on course,
right,
and still end up where they wanted to end up. More than likely, by the time you end up where you wanted to end up, you're late.
For sure.
And that means you've missed your opportunity. You missed your overall achievement, right? And that's why I say that, is that your goal is what your end game is, right? The goal you set a year ago may not align with your current reality either. So I think you need to evaluate the evolvement of your goal over the year, right?
Yep.
Because I look at things like life changes, right? Things happen. Your industry shifts. Maybe you're in a specific industry, and now what was popular isn't popular anymore.
Well, and you have to have the willingness to maybe go a little bit off path to get there, right? Because like you said, something comes up in your business, or something in the world you're trying to live in comes up, and you have to reroute yourself to.
But I think that's exactly it. You're not drifting off the path. You're rerouting.
You still have a plan to.
There's still
stay
a course, right? It's just now you have the road's closed. You're going to go a different direction. Not that the end goal has changed. You're going to find a way back onto course, but you're going to have another avenue for getting there, right?
Yep.
And as we've said, the goals you set a year ago may not align with today's goals. As you look at the start of 2024 and then now the start of 2025, what has changed in your life? It's okay to adjust, but you have to do it intentionally. You don't want to do that in a situation where it's like, we'll figure it out, right?
Right.
I mean, a lot of times, no plan is a plan to fail.
Absolutely.
And, sometimes it's about resetting your mindset, right? We as humans get in our own head, and a lot of times we cause our failure before anything else. This is something I work with our goalies a lot, specifically my goalie, it is one of the hardest positions to play in sports, in my opinion. I've talked about it in the past that with goalie, the way I look at it is like, people, I get this a lot of times. Like, we're at hockey rinks and I get parents that come up to me and they go, I don't know how you can be a goalie parent. Or, I don't know why you let your kid play goalie. I wouldn't let my kid play any other position. To be completely transparent, I would not want him to play another position. And the reason is, I want him to develop that sense of accountability. And the same can be said with your mindset, is because your mind is the most powerful tool you have. It's also the most powerful weapon that you have.
Sure.
And so that weapon can be used against yourself because you mentally can psych yourself out. And I'm trying to teach my son that it's okay to be confident without being overconfident, right?
Yep.
Because sometimes you go into a game like, oh, these guys stink, we're going to beat them, and then they light you up for 9 goals. Only takes 9 shots to score 9 goals, bud.
True story.
If you don't do your job, right?
Yep.
And the point being is that it's not just realignment about your goals, but about your mindset. It's, are you approaching the new year with the same energy and the confidence as you did before? Or are you carrying doubt or limitations that you've developed over the last 12 months? And that's what I remind my son, is that when you go into every single year and every single season, you go into it with this confidence that I'm going to make the team I want to make. I'm the best goalie we have. We're great, blah, blah, blah. Then you get into a bad stretch of the year, right? And you lose some games and they light you up a few times.
Yep.
And suddenly you have this self-doubt. I mean, transparently, my kid lost 11-2 on Sunday. We played a dang good hockey team. That team's undefeated for a reason.
Yep.
They lit him up for 11 goals. And in his mind, when he walked out, he was crying. He came off the ice crying. He was super upset. He went in, his coaches ripped the team. But in his mind, it was his fault.
Right.
And so I talked to him a little about that. I'm like, hey, here's the deal, kid. Like, yeah, you had a few goals that were just, I don't know what happened. Like, he had a glove save, dude, coming right towards his glove, and he just dropped his glove like 2 inches, and it went right over the top of his hand, right in the net. Like, no deflection, no screen, just straight in the net. And he looked right at his glove after the goal. Like, he was looking at it, trying to see if there's a hole in it. Because he thought it went through his glove. And he even said it after the game. He's like, I don't know how that one went in. I'm like, you dropped your glove 2 inches. That's how it went in. Like, I watched it happen.
Yep.
And he's like, but the thing is, I tried to explain to him that, like, it went through 5 players before it got to you.
For sure.
Like, it's a team sport, not just you. The only difference is, and this is what I tell parents when they're like, I can't believe you. In life, nobody's going to do your job for you 100% of the time. In life, nobody's going to cover for you 100% of the time.
Right.
And so what I want him to understand and learn as a 10-year-old is that nobody's going to do your job for you. And for him, every mistake he makes on a hockey rink ends up in front of everybody on the scoreboard.
Yep.
They get to see his mistakes. Every other player on the ice can make mistakes, and at some point or another, somebody's going to bail him out.
Yep.
And the reality of that is, my son is that guy. My son is now the guy who has to bail them out. My son has the accountability to stand up for him and take care of business even when they didn't do their job.
Correct.
And that's what I want from our employees. That's what I want from our company. So that's why, to me, it's the right position for him. Because he's going to learn things that he's going to take for the rest of his life with him. And that is, they gave up 7 breakaways on Sunday too. They scored 0 goals on breakaways. He was 7 for 7 on breakaways. Yep. So I explained that to him when he walked off the ice all upset. I'm like, here's the deal. Yeah, you lost 11-2. You could have lost 18-2.
True. Yeah.
Don't save any of those
Puts it in
breakaways.
Perspective.
And you lose 18-2. I'd say you did a heck of a job, kid.
Yep.
And like, that's what his coach said too. His coach told everybody, like, you got to help Bomber out. You can't be sitting here stick handling it. You got to defend him, help him out. And like, that's the point though, is like, just because somebody else doesn't do their job doesn't mean you don't do your job. And so that's where resetting your mindset for growth is important. Don't let failures of last year carry into this year. Don't let hurdles of last year carry over. Don't let things that really, derailed your goal last year derail you again this year. Yep. You have to move forward and reset. And so what I want you guys to do, anybody listening to this as an exercise, write down 3 things you want to leave behind you in 2024. And then 3 things you're determined to embrace here in 2025. Use this as your starting point for realignment. That's what I want you to do after this or right now. You can pause this. Obviously, you're listening to us. We're not live. So you can pause us, write it all down, and then come back. But then you need to take a look at shifting to an aggressive goal-setting approach. And now that you've realigned yourself, right? You've written these things down. You know where you're going. It's time to get aggressive. And what do I mean by aggressive, Nick? I'm talking about goals that push you out of that comfort zone. Goals that demand action and accountability. And that goes back to, why do aggressive goals matter? Well, aggressive goals force you to think differently, for one. They require you to act boldly a lot of times. They separate you from the competition because most people live in this comfort zone, and therefore challenging you to grow in ways that you never thought were possible. And the comfort zone is a place that I would say most people in this world live.
Yep.
They live in their comfort zone. They feel very confident in their bubble. But as soon as you push them outside of their bubble, their confidence just plummets, and suddenly they become human again, right?
Yep.
And I think Minnesota Vikings are a perfect example of this. I'm going to use them as an example. They dominated most of the season. But as soon as they were uncomfortable this last week, they looked like the worst placed team in the entire...
Just unraveled
the
whole game.
And then they just beat themselves because they never calmed themselves back down.
Yep.
Even you can look at our kicker as an example. The dude has been great all year long. Granted, he's been injured now and probably shouldn't be out there kicking right now. But the reality is, once he messed that kickoff up,
Yep.
it was over. It was over for him. Because at that point, he was in his own head.
Yep.
We knew he was going to miss that next field goal.
Questioning everything he was doing.
Yeah, that next field goal, I knew dang well. When he lined up for it, I said he's not going to make it. He was already in his own head. You could see it on the sideline. He was in his head. And that's where it is. So you have to be aggressive with all your goals, because being passive goals, they'll increase your revenue. Sure, you'll increase your revenue this year by having passive goals by 5%. Aggressive goals, they're going to double your revenue. And it's going to happen because you're going to be aggressive enough to launch a new product line or enter a new market or do something for your business that you otherwise wouldn't have done. Maybe it is buying that new ShopSabre machine. Passive goals are, we're going to try to be more thorough with our processes. Aggressive goals is, we're going to develop a new process to be more thorough.
Just go out and get it.
Right?
Do it. Make yourself better instead of just being okay with settling. It's if you're just going to stay in your comfort zone, it's just kind of settling, right?
Yeah.
You have no motivation to go and be better.
Well, a passive goal is, this is what I love, because companies will say, our goal this year is to improve customer satisfaction. Is that a passive goal or an aggressive goal?
Probably a little bit of both, but more aggressive, I think, than anything.
So that's a passive goal. And the reason that's a passive goal is because saying, I'm going to improve customer satisfaction is any amount of improvement.
You can say it, right, without a plan, right?
Yeah, any amount of improvement would be hitting that goal. An aggressive goal would say, we're going to achieve the highest customer satisfaction rating in the industry by the end of this point in time. And you set the goal, right? The goal is the quarter 3, right? The end of the third quarter, or maybe the end of the 2025, we're going to have the highest customer satisfaction rate. It is aggressive because you're going after the top. Not just to be a little bit better, but to be the best there ever was.
Yep.
And to me, that's the difference, is that the mindset has to be on setting aggressive goals. And then you have to have urgency involved, right? Because when you set an aggressive goal, you create urgency, for one, because time is of the essence.
Yep.
And the urgency drives focus. It eliminates distractions because you don't have time to be distracted because you got too much to do, and forces you to prioritize what truly matters. Because when you have lame duck, as I put them, goals, lame duck goals don't require your attention or your time.
Right.
They will happen probably whether you want them to or not. And in your spare time, it'll still accomplish itself. Aggressive goals require you to have this in your forefront even during your spare time.
And I think aggressive goals need to have some sort of accountability if they don't have it, right?
Agreed. And I think, that's exactly it. Accountability matters in everything you do. But for me, here's a plan. Break down your aggressive goals into smaller milestones. Don't make them this massive, we're going to do this all by the end of the year, right? What are we going to do every month to achieve that goal at the end of the year? And, that's something I use in sales. I break down the sales that we're trying to make for the whole year down to the month. And then I break it down from the month to the guy. Yep. Each guy is responsible for this each month. And so now instead of looking at, we got to sell or make this many machines in next year, no, each guy has to produce this many.
Yep.
And then it suddenly becomes manageable. Everybody's like, oh, I can do that. Because now it's on the personal, as you said, accountability.
Yep.
Each guy is accountable for a part of that goal. So it makes it more manageable, but keeps you motivated and you can celebrate progress along the way. Because again, there's milestones now. We know if we're ahead or behind, there's checkpoints. We know if we have to make up ground or if we're in a good position to keep going, keep our foot on the accelerator, get ahead, right? Everybody likes leading a race.
Yep.
I mean, it's cool to pass it on the last lap and win the race, but leading it every lap, I'll tell you right now, that's the best feeling in the world. When you get to lead a race every single lap, way less stress, way more enjoyable.
Nobody crashed in India.
Nobody crashed in India. Cost you less money.
I think that's good, though, like you said, to have the little milestones, because even if you don't hit the first one, right? You still have time to make up for that one and still meet your goal the second half, right? So the first quarter of the year, you come up a little bit short. Second quarter of the year, you can be over by that amount and some more, so you can still even it back out and catch up, right? You can't just give up after missing one little milestone when you have a goal at the end.
100%. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the reality of life too, is like you don't always hit your goals 100% of the time.
Right.
I mean, a football game's 4 quarters long. How many times have you seen a team get outscored in the first half and still come back and win?
Quite often.
Right.
Probably more times than not, to be honest.
Right. Just because you have a bad quarter doesn't make you defeated, right? Oh, well, we're done. Wait till 2026. Like, no. Which is crazy to say, 2026, because we're in 2025.
Yes.
I still haven't fully connected with that. But you have to... I'm sorry, what was that?
I was just going to say, I'm glad I don't have to write checks anymore to write the wrong year for the first month of the year.
Dude, I'm glad I don't have to do hand quotes anymore. I used to do hand quotes. Had to write the quote numbers on it, and I had to put the date. I got the date wrong for the first month every year.
Happens.
But what I was going to jump into was, you have to also remember that as human nature, you have fear, you have doubt, right? Everybody has it. You're not alone having that fear and that doubt, but you have to find a way to overcome that fear and the doubt, because it's the elephant in the room, right? Let's address it. Fear of failure, right? Fear of judgment, fear of not being good enough at something. These are all barriers that hold people from doing certain things or pushing themselves outside of their comfort zone towards a more aggressive goal because they don't want to fail. People don't want to fail. But the best businesses in the world have failed at one point or not. They've had a failure. They've had to overcome a hurdle. Every single company that I've ever met can tell me a story about their worst times. But the most successful companies can tell me about how that was in the past.
Right.
Because they moved forward, even through failure, and found a way to persevere. And so, you have to reframe is what I mean to say. You need to reframe fear as an opportunity, right? Instead of seeing fear as a stop sign, right? Yep. View it as a green light. Like, yeah, I see it, but I'm going to keep going. Fear often signals that you're stepping into uncharted territory or outside of your comfort zone. And I talked about that earlier in this episode, that we live in our comfort zone. And fear is the space around us that we don't want to step into.
Right.
And the more we're willing to step in there, the less the fear can control you, because guess what? Fear is a lot smaller when you keep pushing it away.
And those uncomfortable situations always make us come out better in the end. Typically.
I feel like that's where growth happens.
Yep.
I used to say to my hockey players at the beginning of every single season, my job is to make you comfortable in uncomfortable situations.
Make you figure it out, right?
Yep.
Like throw you out to the wolves and be like, hey, figure it out, fend for yourself, right?
My favorite thing in hockey to do to a player was when I'd say, what position do you play? Forward. But I don't like to play defense. Guess what you're playing?
You're playing defense today, son.
You're defense today.
Yep.
I only did it when players told me where they didn't want to play. Because I would specifically call out, what position do you play? What position are you good at, is what I used to say. Like, what is your strongest position? And the players who tell you their weakest position first, or bring it up, are so afraid of that position that they want to make it known that you don't put me there.
Right.
Guess where I'm going to put you? Where you don't want to be. Because you're going to become so comfortable being there that it doesn't cross your mind to tell me not to be there. You'll play it if you have to, but I prefer to play here.
And heck, you might even end up being a better defenseman
It's
than you were
happened.
forward.
I can't tell you how many times. One of my best friend's kids, Marty's his name. Marty's son was a forward forever. Like, wanted to play forward, hated defense, told me multiple times he didn't want to play defense. I put him at defense. The kid is way better at defense than he is forward. He plays aggressive there. He does a great job. My kid loves having him as a defender. But it's funny because the kid went from didn't want anything to do with it to it's his favorite position. He just tried out for a traveling team in the summer as a defender. That's
awesome.
His set position now. And it's because a kid stepped out of his comfort zone.
Yep.
And I want to remind you, these are 9-year-olds stepping outside their comfort zone to do it. As an adult, you need to be able to step outside your comfort zone and realize you can be successful.
For sure.
And so not only do you have to reframe your fear as an opportunity, but you also need to think about, the cost of playing it safe. Ask yourself, what's the bigger risk here? Failing while pursuing your aggressive goal, or staying stagnant because you were too afraid to try?
Staying stagnant, for sure.
For sure. You're not going to accomplish anything impressive by staying stagnant.
Right.
Yeah, you might move a little bit further forward. You might move the needle a little bit. I want to move the needle a lot of bit,
Right.
right? I want to be aggressive with my goal. And even if I don't get to my goal, I bet I move the needle more than the person staying stagnant.
Yeah, and you can still say that you obviously put your best foot forward and tried your hardest to
Right.
get 75% of the way there, right?
Right. 75% of somewhere is a heck of a lot better than 100% of nowhere.
For sure.
So build confidence through your action. You have to be confident in what you're doing, right? You know who you are. You got here because of your capabilities, but it comes from the results of action. You've already accomplished. Like, I want people right now to think about, okay, let's look back at 2023, okay? Because we're in 2025. Look at 2023 and think of where you are today. How much did you accomplish over last year? Or where are you in your life today that you weren't 10 years ago? Like, think about where you are and what you've accomplished in that amount of time. Here's what I like to, I wrote this down actually because I heard it from somebody else. Is that it's written down on my whiteboard at home actually. And it says, time's going to happen whether you're ready for it or not. And it's the truth. Because either you could start today and accomplish something by the end of the year, because the end of the year is coming regardless. Your time's going to pass. So it doesn't matter how long something takes.
Right.
Time's going to happen regardless. You don't get to stop that.
You may as well allow yourself as much time to get there as possible.
You might as well start now, because otherwise you're going to be a year less to accomplish the same goals.
Yep.
So you have to think about every step forward strengthens your belief, right? Because every step you take, you believe you can take the next one. And then you also start to believe in yourself because, hey, I thought I couldn't start this, and look at me now. So identify one fear that's holding you back. That's what I want you guys to do now, is think about what's holding you back. Write that down. Again, you can pause us. I don't care. This can be your homework. And then let me know one action you're going to take this week, not this year, this week, before next week's episode, to confront and overcome that fear. I want you to commit to doing it. And then after, now that you've unpaused me, thank you, I want you to think about the tools and the strategies for staying focused, because all of this doesn't matter if you don't have a strategy to be successful and you don't have tools to be successful. So, you're realigned, you've set an aggressive goal, you're ready to move forward, but let's talk about staying focused on maintaining momentum throughout the year. One is going to be create a vision board or a roadmap. Like I said, it's a whiteboard. It's something, just write down what you're trying to do. Visualize your goal. Something I do with our sales guys here, and you've seen it, Nick.
Yep.
Every sales guy here, what's the one requirement I have for them in their offices?
Have a picture up of something you're working for.
Right. Every single sales guy here has to do it. I make them print off a picture, and I make them put it up in front of their desk. Tell me what you're working for. Because if I don't know what you're working for and you don't know what you're working for, neither one of us are going to accomplish what we want to accomplish. I want to help you get to your goal.
For sure.
So if I don't know your goal, I can't help you. So put your goal up in front of you, whether that's taping a picture on the wall of the office, whatever it is you're working towards, put it on your office wall right now. I want you to do that. And then have a detailed plan. Develop a plan over the next 12 months how you're going to get to where you want to go. Or maybe the timeline itself is longer than 12. Know that. Know what your timeline is, but know how to judge yourself. And set milestones along the way, whether it's a quarterly milestone, a monthly, a weekly, however you want to do it. But have a tangible reminder of what you're working towards and why you're doing it. Because otherwise, you're going to lose momentum. You're going to lose that movement, because come June, you're going to forget what we talked about in January.
Right.
But if it's in front of you and in your face every day, you will never forget this conversation. Establish accountability as well. Share your goals with your mentor, with a colleague, with a friend who you can have hold you accountable, right? We all have that friend that's not afraid to tell you how it is.
Right.
Have that friend know about this. Have your mentor, have somebody you respect know what you're trying to accomplish. You don't have to tell everybody, but tell somebody so somebody can check in with you on that. Because I promise you, if they're as close of a friend or they're as good of a person as you were telling me they are right now, they're going to ask you about it. Because it's what we do. We want to know, hey, how's that going? How are you doing on that? Hey, you told me you were going to, expand your business. How is the expansion going? And it's okay to be honest with them.
Yep.
You know, it's not going well right now. I'm getting my butt kicked. Because guess what? They're going to provide their insight. They're going to provide encouragement that maybe you need to get you out of your own head.
And you have to be willing to listen to that too.
Right.
Accept the truth.
Yeah.
Take the truth for what it is.
And then celebrate your wins.
Yep.
Because don't wait till December to acknowledge your progress. This is my biggest failure right here. I sometimes wait till the end of the year to realize how far we've come because I'm so stressed throughout the year trying to get there.
Yep.
So celebrate every milestone along the way, no matter how small it is. If it's a good day in sales, if it's a good day in production, whatever it is you're doing at your business, if it's a good day, celebrate it. This reinforces your efforts and keeps you energized, but don't celebrate to the level where it's like, well, we had a good day. I could have two bad ones now. Don't do that. Don't defocus yourself.
Yep.
Adapt, don't abandon. If something isn't working, don't throw in the towel. Adjust your approach. Flexibility is key to being aggressive without losing sight of your goals. Flexibility is necessary. I'm going to tell you right now, without being flexible, you are going to be in trouble.
Yep. I think the last two, I think really we went through a lot in December with the sales guys. Like, we had really good days and you'd tell them that, but would also follow that up with, but we need to do the same tomorrow. We need to continue, to keep it snowballing, right? And then obviously there's things in sales that sometimes don't work and you have to adjust on the fly a little bit. And
absolutely,
we heard that a lot in December and it was, I don't know, very successful in my book. I think it felt like it was.
I agree. Yeah, I think, we all did. I think as a team, we did a great job. Collectively, it was you, it was, the production team, it was the sales guys, the marketing team. Everybody did their jobs. And we celebrated our wins along the way. Yep. And we had days where we were like, man, kind of got my butt kicked today. But we celebrated our wins so that those days didn't drag us down like they may have in the past, right?
Yep.
Like it allowed us to power through that. You know what? We're going to be okay.
But it makes it a lot easier to keep your focus on those things through the bad days, right? Because, like, hey, just 2 days ago we did great. One bad day can't derail it. You need to focus on those things too, right?
Correct. Yeah. There was times when trucks didn't show up, right? How many times did that happen? Like I don't know what happened in December, but freight was a mess. We were waiting on trucks to show up and they just wouldn't show up.
Yep.
And then we get a call a day later, oh, sorry, we're going to cancel the load.
Right.
We'll have somebody else deliver it.
Scramble.
Like now we need the parts. We need what is going on here? So, but if you let that derail you, it's going to stop your progress.
Yeah. You just got to kind of move on, move forward and know that the next man up is going to take it on for you and get it done.
Yeah. And I think really for this year, I'd love to hear people scheduling their quarterly reviews of their goals, use the time to assess the progress, make adjustments and set new benchmarks if needed. Like you got to set those quarterly reviews or meetings. Maybe you don't meet with your company normally. Maybe you need to set up a meeting to meet with your guys or your gals. Tell them how they're doing. Tell them the progress. Give your team the tools to help you. Because I think a lot of people, they keep it a secret of what their end goal is. Well, the problem is nobody else can help push towards your goal if they don't know about it.
Right.
Tell the team what the end goal is. You saw it. I did it yesterday. I sat down with the sales guys and we talked about our end goal this year. We talked about where we want to go, what we're hoping to accomplish. But they can't help us accomplish it if they didn't know where we're going.
For sure, yeah. You got to have that open communication so people know, right?
Right.
Like you can't set goals and then just be like, oh, everybody's just going to know on their own without telling them, right?
Well, everybody's got their own goals and we're all working towards our own thing, but nobody's working towards the same goal.
Right.
So here's the bottom line. Success in 2025 starts with you, accountability, yourself. It starts with your willingness to realign your mindset, set ambitious goals, and take action. Even when it's uncomfortable, you have to do these things. Playing it safe won't get you where you want to go. I can assure you of that. If you want to lead, to innovate, to grow, you have to embrace the challenges of being bold, aggressive in your pursuits. And you know what? You have to be okay with not doing what others want you to do sometimes. Your friends are going to give you a hard time because you're putting in extra hours. They'd rather you go to the bar with them, right?
Yep.
Your family might give you some flack because you're working a little bit longer hours than you normally would, and they want you to sit on the couch and watch some TV. Your competitors are going to tell you you're doing it wrong. People are going to tell you they can do it better. Everybody's going to challenge your thought process along the way, and that's okay. Because if you know why you're doing it and you work towards your goal, in the end, it'll be rewarding for the right reasons. So really, as you kick off the year, I challenge you to think bigger, to work harder, to move faster. Your goals are waiting for you. They're already there. They're at the finish line waiting. But it's up to you if you're going to make them happen or not. Somebody's going to make them happen, whether it's you or not.
Yep.
And to me, it's about making 2025 your year and stop talking about all your potential. Stop telling everybody how great you are and start to realize your own potential. Start to show people how great you are, because people will talk about you once they see how great you are.
For sure. Yep.
And sometimes that's good or bad that people are talking about you. But you know what? Make it so they can't help but talk about you and think about you. Be that great. You deserve it.
Absolutely. Agree.
So that's what I got for this week's main body of the episode. As we jump forward, I want to think about, one of my favorite segments, which is The Internet is Broken. And, really want to think about, the bottom line is success in 2025 is going to be largely based on attitude and effort, right? And I think we are finally, as a society, going to have to stop this internet bullying thing that took over 2024. Like, I think I dealt with that more in my life in 2024 than I've ever dealt with in my life. And I feel like this has been a hot topic for a while, and the internet warriors, or, the keyboard warriors, as some people call them, they need to be put to shame for doing that. Like, stop allowing people to weaponize the internet. Like, if you see them bullying somebody, a product, a company, a person, a school, whatever, like, we need to step in and say, you're doing it wrong. Like, there's an educational discussion that can happen behind every single disagreement.
Yep.
But I find it ridiculous that internet bullies have turned this into their playground to control the world. And you see it literally on every site, whether it's TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, every forum that exists, because God, those are a mess, and every social media private group, right?
Yep.
It's time for us to stand up for what's right. Have educational conversations without the purpose of belittling somebody. If you have a problem, go to that person and talk to them. Don't try to get your posse or your group behind you to attack a group of people, or to belittle, a company, or belittle a school, or a sports team, or what. Like, it has to stop. It's not funny anymore. No. Like, I don't find it funny, and that's my internet is broken this week.
It's exhausting, really.
It is exhausting at this point. Like, it's not funny. You might be sitting in your little chair thinking it's hilarious, but I can promise you that the world's exhausted of it. Like, we need to get behind each other and celebrate each other. We need to spend more time trying to build each other up than tear each other down.
Spend some of that time building your business better and being more successful.
Like, do stuff for yourself. If you have that much time,
there's so much better things to spend your time and energy on.
Like, I just think about that. Like, I have zero time to go out to somebody's forum or out to some of these pages to create a TikTok video slamming somebody out. Like, I just don't have time, nor do I have that energy that I want to drag that negative energy into the world. Like, I'll just move on.
And there's such a large percentage of people that feel the same way.
I know.
And people just still latch onto that small percentage.
I know.
Join.
It's because I always say it's like a train wreck. Yeah, you can't look away. Right. You're waiting for it to like happen, and everybody grabs their popcorn and watches it. But like, if everybody watching it would just speak up and put a stop to it, it would just stop altogether.
Yep.
Like, if every single person watching this show happen simply said, "This is ridiculous," like, we're adults.
Yep.
I bet it would stop in a heartbeat. So that's my internet's broken. Like, let's not let it be broken this year. Although it's gonna be broken, and I can't fix that. I'm gonna try to be the change this year.
That should be our goal for January 1st, 2026.
That the internet is less broken.
Yeah, less broken.
There we go.
Not fixed, less broken.
Yeah, and I'm gonna even change that this year. We're gonna start getting rid of the internet is broken segment, and I'm gonna start turning it into positive moments on the internet.
That's a great idea.
We'll start finding positive things that have occurred and talk about them from the internet, and stop giving recognition to the internet being broken and the ridiculous comments that are out there.
I'm on that ship with you.
Okay. So, moving forward to our motivational quote of the week, because let's find some motivation after that, is hard work beats talent when talent does not work. Right?
Facts.
Or you could even say hard work beats talent when talent does not work hard. In either case, you have to put in the hard work. Talent alone won't carry you.
100%.
And I think the Vikings learned that the hard way this last week.
They did.
They got outworked.
Don't go for it on every fourth down.
Fourth down does not work every time, especially if you've already failed twice.
Don't throw it
three straight times after you run 64 yards.
Like, you get first and goal from the 3. Let's throw it 3 times when your quarterback's a mess. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Or just hand the ball off 3 times in a row and at least try the tush push once.
Right? I feel like
one time. Just try it once.
I feel like I could have gained a yard at that. I mean,
that's a question. Okay.
How about this? I could have thrown just as terrible a passes as Darnold did.
Oh, I think you could too. I think so too. Here's my question though, okay? If I lined you up 1 yard away from a linebacker. Do you think you could get a yard?
So so he's at the yard.
He's
that I need
1
to
yard
get.
out in front of you, lined up like they do in the NFL, and I hand you the ball. Can you get a yard? I don't think you can. I'll be honest. I don't think I can.
Depends if he picks up on the right way that I go with my spin move.
But I just think about that.
I'm going to
because
spin right. He's going to go left, and I'm going to score the touchdown.
I used to ask this question. Me and Chad had this conversation a while ago about like Adrian Peterson. If Adrian Peterson today, you handed him the ball, could you tackle him?
No.
No, I don't think so either. But there's a lot of people that say yes. No way.
No way.
No way.
chance. I would
they're
get
like,
out of the way.
They're like, I just take his legs out. You know what? That was the plan of every NFL linebacker
would
in the
kill you
league,
with
and
his
he
legs.
just run you over with his legs.
No way. I could.
So that's my point. Like, I just laugh when people are like,
Chad could gain a yard on a linebacker, though.
think so?
He could put a shoulder on and run right through him, for sure.
You think so?
Yeah, because, I don't have enough mass to hill. I would run into a linebacker and I would just fall backwards.
Right.
I feel like Chad could probably push him back a little bit.
I don't know, man. They're strong, man.
I
know
but-
Chad's strong. He's a big dude.
No, he's
but
not.
I
He
don't know.
just thinks he's tough because he's big. He's not tough.
This dude's pretty strong. I watched him pick up a piece of granite,
He's all barking.
deadlift by himself.
He's all barking, no bite.
I'm going to tell him this. Chad's hopefully listening.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, that's my motivational quote of the week is hard work beats talent when talent does not work hard. So, Nick, what's your final thoughts of the week? Let's wrap this thing up.
I have a question for you.
Oh, Lord. What dad joke you got for me now? I can see it on your paper.
Do you think plumbers have pipe dreams when they sleep?
Get out of here.
Final thoughts, huh? I mean, make 2025 your best year yet.
Yeah.
That's not to say that 2024 or whatever year prior wasn't your best, but you can always try to be better, right?
Yeah.
Always room for improvement. Nobody's ever perfect. Nobody's ever as good as they can be. There's always something you can do better.
Fair.
Always something you can learn. There's still things that I can do in this job that I can learn and do better.
Most of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you can always look for something to improve on. Always look for
I
a
agree
goal
with
to
that.
be better with something.
Yeah. I mean, you're never at the top, right?
No.
The top's always moving.
And if you get to the point where you feel like you're at the top,
Yep.
you're doing it wrong.
Right. Well, once you feel like you're at the top, somebody's going to knock you down. I'll promise that. But, here's the bottom line. Moving forward with your unique vision isn't easy, especially when there are pressures from every direction. But being different isn't a liability. It's your greatest strength. And I believe that thoroughly. It's okay to be different. It's okay to be the person that stands out in a crowd.
For sure.
I just believe that this is the year you have to be comfortable with your own skin. You have to find a way this year to be comfortable being who you are. Make your company its own identity. You don't have to be like everybody else out there. Be okay with that.
Right.
Take chances on yourself. Like, believe in yourself.
Be like your 5-year-old kid that wants to go out with unmatching shoes and unmatching outfit and
Could care less.
can care less what they look like to anybody else. Be like that.
Like,
Don't care what anybody thinks. Just do your own thing.
yeah, do your thing.
Be you.
Like, who cares? Somebody's not going to like you for who
Right.
you are. It's okay. But 10 people will love you for who you are. So
100%.
just go be who you are. Let your company be who it is. Push yourself. Be comfortable being uncomfortable all year long. Push yourself outside of that comfort zone. I just want to thank everybody for tuning into Talkin Shop. If this episode inspired you, share it with your team, your peers, send it to them, or anyone who you think needs to level up this year. I mean, I really believe this is a great topic for everybody to hear. And if you're going to be ready to take your business to that next level, I said it earlier, ShopSabre is here to support you with your CNC solutions. We're ready to empower your growth and your innovation, help you be your New Year's resolution, right? We want to be a part of it. But honestly, until next time, stay aggressive, stay focused, and as always, keep talking shop. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Nick.
Thanks for talking shop with ShopSabre.